All right, so any other running backs that stand out to you?
I mean, maybe Crowell, just because he can have the big game, but he's hit or miss. But like we were talking about, where you want a guy who can actually get you the 10 points instead of a guy, well, he's going to get me 4 in this week where I need my team to explode. So I think that Crowell is worth the flyer. If like a Jennings isn't there, then sure, I'll try out Crowell.
Well, and he's a little bit more similar to Jennings in that he's been getting the ball more lately, and their running game has been atrocious all year, but the last couple of weeks they've kind of got it together. So you've got some good signs there.
All right, we're going to move to some tight end options for your team. Sure, it took a few extra weeks to get him going.
He's back from the farm.
Thanks to that concussion. But old Vance McDonald had a big game, 5 for 61 and a touchdown, showing kind of what he had showed before the concussion, that, he's going to be targeted in the offense when he's healthy. He's had a nose for the end zone when he's been in there. And so Vance McDonald this week, what are your thoughts?
I like him. He's a little bit deeper than the other guys on this list for me, but he is clearly capable. If you look at the games where Vance McDonald with Blaine Gabbert and where he is the guy, he's the main tight end, everyone else is either hurt or shipped out of town, then Vance McDonald has been, I feel like he's scored in every single one of those games.
If I wanted to find a tight end on the waiver wire right now, and this guy's owned, according to ESPN, he's in the 55, 57% area, Zach Ertz is the guy I want on my team. Because you have this, he's getting targets, a million of them. He's the one guy that can kind of reliably catch the ball on that team when the game is taking place. Now, Jordan Matthews is great in those last 5 minutes.
The game after the game.
The game after the game, Jordan Matthews.
Oh, the garbage man can.
But Zach Ertz represents a lot of dump-off passes. He kind of, he's a more athletic Jason Witten in that offense right now, where he could break a bigger run, but he's kind of getting the dump-off passes, sure hands. And last week, I mean, what more can you say? We called Rule 86. It applies to Mr. Ertz as well. He went out there after a game with 8 for 78 and a touchdown against Arizona. He was 13 for 122 against Washington. He's been double digits in 4 of his last 6 games. He's scored in a couple of those games, which is something he hadn't been able to do. He was just missed on a 45-yard touchdown or whatever that was in the last game.
Sam Bradford just missed.
Yes. He did not miss it. And now he's going up against a team that's 31st against tight end. There's nobody better than Zach Ertz right now on the waiver wire if he's available in your league to roll out there. And it almost guarantees you no dud from the position. If you're going up against a Gronk this week, I'd love to have Zach Ertz on the other side to just mitigate as much as possible.
Sure. Yeah, and I like it. The other guys we like, Zach Miller has continued to emerge in Chicago with the passing options just being
He was
hurt.
their number 1 receiver last week.
It's not a surprise.
Martellus Bennett's gone. Alshon Jeffrey's legs don't work. Zach Miller's a good option.
And did you guys see the reports of Chicago before the season? They had started a new program that they were to help prevent soft tissue injuries.
And everyone's raving about it except for Alshon Jeffrey.
And Eddie Royal.
And I don't remember who it was. Was it Forte?
Yeah.
So Forte kind of threw Alshon under the bus, saying, the program works as long as you're doing it at home.
Really?
Yeah. So it was very implied that some people were not doing the program.
Jeffrey's a tough case because you do have these receivers, whether it's genetics or an unwillingness to put yourself in the right position.
It's called fosterism.
Right.
Arian fosterism.
Sure. You're saying when your soft tissues seem to have issues.
It's not
soft tissue issues?
He doesn't have soft tissue. He has very soft tissue.
Thank you, medical doctor.
I could not think of a better word.
Mike Wright, MD.
That's a medical term.
But the point I'm making is that he is he's a risk. There's a reason he doesn't have a contract, and he's a risk because he's a great player. He's a great player when he's healthy. He's a player that's always hurt. So, we'll have to see.
I'll take him.
Well, yeah,
me as a keeper.
Okay,
me personally.
So objectively, if you're a Bears fan or a fan of any team, you would take the season he just put out. You would pay for it. You would pay for this past season.
Well, not this past season.
No, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, but you got to look at.
So is he worth the money based on this past season?
This past season, no. But you look at the body of work the seasons prior to that.
Wouldn't use the word body.
Yeah, that's gonna really hurt
the soft
your
body of work.
So did you mention Will Tye?
No, we didn't get there. Will Tye didn't have a great game this week, but that was also a factor of the Giants just got destroyed.
A factor of Eli having no completions until somewhere in the second quarter.
It's similar to the Packers last week of the whole team just imploded, so it's not a shock that everyone had a bad game.
Yeah, you throw that game in the garbage for the team.
Yeah, they did. All right, quarterback options this week. We can talk about Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
Matt Ryan's a great person to talk about. He's owned in a lot of leagues, but he's not started. Good.
He's a great person.
He's a great guy. I think his hair is delightful.
But
he's going
how
up
does he get that?
against
what kind
the
of products
Saints
he using?
this week.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Matt Ryan is somebody who, if he's on your bench or your waiver wire, you need to seriously consider a start of Matt Ryan this week. Hopefully there was some sort of brain circuit connection that registered when he threw the ball up to that Julio Jones fellow, and Julio came down with the ball and got him a lot of fantasy points. We missed that this year.
Yeah,
we really, really missed it.
Yeah, hopefully it was one of those the door opens in your memory banks and you say, I've been here before.
Sure.
I've done this.
Yeah, and it was pleasant.
It feels so familiar and so safe, and I just want to give it a big hug. And maybe he'll throw the ball to Julio Jones over a 20-yard pass.
Now, what do we say? Julio is 3 catches away from being second in the record books in total catches?
Yeah, a very, very good point. He has 120-plus catches, and he is, like Andy said, I think he's 3 behind Antonio Brown's record for second, and a longer shot of 16 away from the best, the highest catch total ever
in NFL history. Let's make it happen this week, Matt Ryan.
The Falcons have nothing to play for. They could force feed Julio Jones this week.
You know who I would pick up off of the waivers? If I'm a team playing in Week 17, I don't have a good quarterback. Who I'm picking up, at least tonight, on the main waiver day where I don't think a lot of people, I'm gonna actually pick up Andrew Luck, because there's a chance he plays this week against the Titans, and we all know how the Colts are still in it.
Must win.
But I would pick him up just to see. Now, I don't necessarily expect him to start this week, and I'm not saying he's the greatest start ever, but he is a type of guy that is not normally on waivers if not for this injury. They have been holding him out. He's not going to come back and be, half injured. They're waiting until he's completely ready to go. So if he plays this week, he's going to be fine to play against the Titans. They've still got all the offensive weapons, and all of a sudden you've got Andrew Luck Week 17. He's the type of guy that grab now and just see what happens during practice, so that if the report comes out, you don't have to grab him later. Just a big name that's not normally there.
Yeah, and I want to throw out, we don't know who it will be yet, but Texans QB against Jacksonville. The Jacksonville defense allows lots and lots of points, and Brian Hoyer, we've seen him be great when he starts for fantasy purposes, and we saw Brandon Weeden put up a very good fantasy game. You give him the Jacksonville defense, and if you got some rough options, I'm okay doing it.
I would start Brian Hoyer, no problem. I would not start Brandon Weeden. That would just be me personally. If he's the starter
there is risk involved.
I think there's plenty of other good options that I would rather have.
One being Alex Smith taking on Oakland if they need,
Yeah.
This is a potential division-winning type of game. This season for the Chiefs is kind of reflective of a lot of our listener seasons, myself included. They started off 1-5. If they win the division,
if they win and the Broncos lose,
that's like
they win
the greatest
the
division comeback that we've seen, or one of the best ever.
1-5
has to be
to 11-5.
They were a dumpster fire. They were who you wanted to play. We were talking,
well, the
come
defense
week 6,
just wasn't their defense.
Week 6, we were talking about how you want to play against the secondary of the Chiefs. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, stay away from that.
Tell me that one or both of you have seen the dabbing Andrew Reid.
Oh, I've seen it.
I've
seen it.
You saw Andy Reid?
Yeah,
go into the middle of the locker room.
He threw some sleep. He threw some shade.
He did. It's worth watching.
I did love the Julio dab. against Carolina. Oh,
and then Ryan Fitzpatrick also is an option for you at quarterback. Takes on Buffalo this week. Humongous
Must-win
game for them. And he's just got it done. I mean, he's got these receivers, and they're really good. And he throws them the ball.
You might have heard of him.
Yeah,
Brandon Marshall.
Eric Decker. Just a great pair. We talked about this yesterday. I mean, they really are a complete team. They're the type
Jets?
of yeah. They're the type of team that they don't look elite necessarily because they haven't really put together, these blow everybody out of the water, blow somebody good out of the water type of games, but they have a defense that's getting healthy and got healthy. Revis is back out there. They have a pass rush. They have a secondary. They have an offense that has weapons. They have multiple options now that Bilal Powell has been just great for them as another option in the running game that can catch the ball and do things out of the and
when
Fitzpatrick runs the ball.
They have decent, offensive lines, defensive lines, running game, passing game, pass rush, and secondary. That's everything. I don't know how their special teams are, but the rest is great.
Well, the special teams are great, especially with coin flips. They can manipulate the outcome to their.
You will kick the ball.
All right, who are some defenses people can grab and win their Week 17 championship with?
I only have a couple on this list. I like the Cowboys this week. They have a pretty solid defense, and they're taking on the Washington team that may not be fielding 11 players.
Cowboys defense is real. It's legit. It did it again this week.
Especially when Sean Lee is playing, that's a different defense. But it's going to be likely to be Colt McCoy, and who knows, and some bodies and some cadavers that Washington throws out there.
I'm going to throw a D out there just to pay attention to.
Let's hear it.
The Titans.
If it's
Stephen Morris, if it's a fourth string quarterback, the Titans defense isn't terrible in the right matchup.
That's a great play. I hadn't thought of that one.
So that's somebody to think about. Did you mention San Francisco?
Not yet. San Francisco and the Rams, both of these defenses could be good options.
Yeah.
I would probably lean to the Rams, but if you're grabbing at straws, both of these guys could have a great game.
I think the Steelers could have a good game. They have to win, and
who are they playing?
They're playing the Browns.
They disappointed me last week. I can't recommend the Steelers because
they go back and forth, so this is their bounce back.
Wow. Except for last week they were at home against Baltimore and they gave it up. And
they were away, weren't they? Well,
they were home.
Yeah, they were home against Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, they were.
So, anyways,
No, they were on the road.
They were on the road, I'm pretty sure. Well,
you can vet me.
They are definitely on the road last week. Remember we were talking about Big Ben doesn't have multi-touchdown games on the road this season?
I think you're right, huh?
Yeah, they were on the road.
No, you're right. My fault on that one.
If they are at home.
They're still on the road.
They're still on the road. Then I'm not playing the Steelers.
Yeah.